to confirm that you can hear me. I'm a big technophobe. I'm always concerned that the audio is not working. So the 7 people who are in the queue, if they could just write a little message to say that they can hear, that would be very much appreciated. As you know, this is a series of live chats to talk about the subject of yacht charter. I've actually changed the name of the channel on the home page to Yachts for Sale and Charter, because I'll be doing more and more charter videos and sales videos as well. So I thought it would be a good thing to talk more about yacht charter. And to do that, I'm getting some charter brokers. Last week we spoke to Celine Pujol, who is a charter broker. And today I have with me Nicolas Fry, who, if you're French, you would call Nicolas Fry, correct?
That's correct.
Chris Hodson's just confirmed that it sounds good here. So thanks, Chris. I appreciate that, because otherwise I just have no idea if everybody can hear okay or not. So without any further ado, let's talk a little bit about charter, this time from the charter manager's perspective. But I know that a lot of people who watch this channel dearly would like to be involved in the yachting industry, and they're often not sure quite how to get involved in it. So Nicolas, let's start with asking you, how did you get into the yachting industry?
Well, hello everyone. I got into the yachting industry thanks to my father, because he was taking us for cruising every summer on sailing boats, and we infused the passion of sailing to all the family, and especially to me. And then it was his dream. He bought a big boat around 25 meters.
Oh wow!
And he asked me to organize the marketing because he wanted to do charter. So my first job was to do a website and a brochure for him, and start looking for charter bookings. And but I did it on my own as an individual. I didn't know anything about it, so I learned the ropes like this with this first boat, and then I really enjoyed it. And then I moved to a brokerage house in Antibes, Wilmar Yachts, in 2008.
Oh, yes.
As a charter broker. And after 1 year, I moved to another yacht management company based in Luxembourg called Magellan, and I did 3 years as a yacht manager, to understand also how all the operations, surveys, refits, crew employment worked. And after these 3 years, talking with captains, visiting the boats, organizing some surveys and things, I believe that I needed to have my own crew experience. And that's when I did 1 season on board a sailing boat as a deckhand, and I did some more steward positions. So I did almost a year of crew experiences. I did a transatlantic crossing, I did some convoyage in the Med, and this helped me really understand what's happening on board, and how you need to take care of the guests, and how you need to work on board and to live on board. So it was really insightful. But then I thought I also need to know the regulations, and so I did my captain license, so I could learn more about the regulations and how you operate a boat from a captain's perspective. And I did 6 months of training as a captain license. I was not on board, and I got my captain license for a yacht under 30 meters. And then I thought, okay, now I have more experience and more insights, and I would like to continue working in the charter industry. And that's when I joined Kemper & Nicholson's in 2012.
So I'm just laughing because before we started this live stream, our chief marketing officer poked his head through those doors and he said, mention Northrop & Johnson. Every opportunity mentioned Northrop. So far you mentioned 3 brokerages and then not Northrop.
Yes, but you told me how I started. And that's where we met.
We met at Kemper &
Nicholson's. And I did 5 years with Kemper & Nicholson's before moving to this fantastic company, which is Northrop & Johnson.
Let me take you back to the very beginning of that story. when your father bought a 25-meter yacht and asked you to market it, how old were you then?
It was in 2005, so I was 30 years old.
Okay, okay. So you were a mature, you were a man. You were.
Yeah, I
like
was
a
already
teenager.
working. At that time I was working in real estate, but I was not passionate about it.
Yeah.
And when I started taking care of this boat, it became like, okay, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Really interesting thing that you said as well was that you'd got experience with Wilmar Yachting and with the other company doing charter, but then you went to work as a crew. Did you not consider that to be like a backward step in your career?
No, not at all. I took it as a great opportunity to learn more about what's happening on board, which is generally something that brokers miss because they don't have this operational experience, how to run a boat, how to serve guests, how to clean the beds and the staterooms and everything. It was really insightful. And everything made sense after this experience on board.
And so now that you're a charter manager with Northrop and Johnson, what do you do? What's the job of a charter manager, especially taking into the context that we spoke to Celine last week as a charter broker? What's the difference? What do you do?
So I joined the company Northrop and Johnson 3 years ago as a charter manager, but my first mission was to build my fleet. Building my fleet meaning bringing some yachts into the NNJ fleet for charter. How do you do that? You do a lot of prospection. You talk with captains, you talk with owners, you talk with owners rep, you talk with your colleagues, sales broker who sell the boats, and you try to convince them that you would be the great manager for this boat.
Yeah.
Once you've done that and when you've signed a contract with them, then you start managing it, which means that we take care of the marketing of the yacht, and then we take care of all the booking administration, which is the contract, but also the funds, and then all the legal activity around it, the VAT. It can be also some like consulting around all the charter activity to the owner. It's really quite vast. In fact, the charter manager represents the owner. Represent a yacht, but he represents the interest of the owner. Whereas the charter broker represents the interest of a client who books this yacht. And so my job is to make some deals with some brokers and with their clients, of course, but always to defend the interest of the owners.
Yeah. So, again, for the benefit of people who are watching, your relationship with sales brokers is important because we feed you with leads. Your relationships with captains is important because they can be influential. So let's take, for example, one of the yachts in your fleet, Da Vinci, because that was a client that I was working with and Ed was working with, and then you got the opportunity to take the yacht for charter. So then we pass you that lead, and what do you do then? What's your next step?
So then it was great because thanks to your introduction, I could meet the owner's rep, the representative of this boat. We had a great conversation in La Spezia, in Viareggio, and after this conversation, I said to her, I need to go and visit the boat. So that's what I did, and I went to visit the boat in Cannes, meet with the captain, and I didn't have to convince her that Northrop and Johnson was a great company because the boat was already in the fleet. Yeah. But I had to convince her that I was able to do a good job for the owner and for promoting Da Vinci on the charter market. And so my next thing was to, let's say, improve the marketing of the boat, start promoting it actively to all the brokers I deal with or to all the brokers we communicate to. And then we started booking this boat.
Great. And we, as a matter of fact, for those watching, if you've seen the video that I did of Solo, which is a 72-meter yacht, Nico is the charter manager of Solo. Can you tell us a little bit about the success that yacht has got? Because I think it's the largest in the company's fleet, actually, isn't it?
Yes, it's our flagship, and she's been really successful. But it's not that difficult because she has a great look, great design. She's really unique with her color and with all the features she has, and she has been built around the charter activity. So she's really well built for charter activity, which is good. And the good thing is that we could start promoting her. Probably it was 6 months before she was launched. So 6 months before she was launched, we got already some not images but renderings, and I could meet with the build captain Renzo Ciccheladzi at that time. I could visit the boat, so I got to know a bit of the boat and the captain, and he started explaining me about his crew and everything. And then the boat was launched in August 2018, and we could show the boat at the Monaco Yacht Show 1 month later.
Yeah.
So that was great because the boat was here. It was not completely finished with a great crew on board, but she was here, and everybody could go on board, feel the space, see the decor. So that was a good thing. And then we started really to book her when she was fully ready for charter with a great crew on board, and we did the MIBA Open Day, MIBA Charter Show in Barcelona. And that was in April 2019, so more than a year before we started with the marketing of the boat. And then we started booking her, and we did a great first charter season. Then we did a winter season in the Caribbean. Then she came back for another charter season in the Med, which was last year with COVID, was not so good. And then she came back to the Caribbean last October, and she did great over the winter because now she's very famous on the market.
Yeah. And just to pick up on one of the things that you mentioned a couple of times there, which was the crew, what I've noticed is that you don't just market the yachts, but you kind of almost market the crew as well, don't you? With a lot of details about who the crew are.
Yeah, that was the case, for example, with Solo. We marketed the boat. We sent all the pictures, the nice videos that we did with some real professional marketing of the boat. But we didn't book it before the brokers could come on board and meet with the crew.
Yeah.
And because even if it's a brand new boat, fully available for charter, very well built, if the crew doesn't bring you good service, good food, let's say a good ambience on board, a good atmosphere where you feel really welcome, it doesn't worth the money you're paying for. So it's not worth the money you're paying for. So the idea is to really understand that the crew is great for all these charter clients.
Yeah. Actually, something that Nico did, and we're inviting your questions, so I'm keeping an eye out on any questions coming in. But something I want to tell you about that Nico did at, I don't remember which boat show, but one of the boat shows that was really impressive. To get brokers on board so that they feel enthusiastic about the yacht. It's not unusual for Nico to host a party on the boat.
I love parties. But
yes, and we had a fantastic, in fact there's been several, but this one that stands out in my mind, a fantastic party on Solo. And Nico found a family in Italy that own a vineyard, and they're very exclusive. They'll fly people from their yacht in a helicopter to the vineyard for wine tasting, and then fly them back to the yacht again. And this father and son were there on the yacht to let us wine taste and to talk about the experience and what we can offer to our clients. And for a broker, it's fantastic. I'm gonna cut myself off because we've got a question coming in. It's Rudy, you're a superstar. Thanks very much. Super chats are not necessary; they're always appreciated. But Rudy sent a €10 super chat. He says, "Hello, Mr. Fry, David." Yeah, good question, Rudy. Rudy, by the way, has got to be one of the longest and loyalist followers of the channel that I have. He says, with all these issues of COVID and travel, there's a cancellation insurance in case of unpredictable problems or another solution. So is there some sort of cancellation insurance in case COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, with COVID, the booking procedure changed a lot, and we started to add what we called a an addendum to postpone the charter or to cancel it if the boat cannot go to this region where or the guests if they cannot join the boat. But there is also a cancellation insurance that every clients can take. They have to pay a premium to get the insurance, but then they are covered if they cannot travel or if they're sick before going to the boat, and they can either receive their money back or sometimes we organize to postpone this charter for a later date.
Because COVID's so complicated, isn't it? It's not just a question of if you get COVID, it may be that you're perfectly fine, but one of the crew gets COVID.
Exactly.
And the boat's shut down. Or it may be that the crew are fine and you're fine, but the country that you want to fly to blocks all flights. There's so much can go wrong. So the insurance, which by the way is organised by
Northrop and Johnson private insurance,
is a very handy thing to be able to have. Actually, it looks like Charter is doing reasonably well considering the problems with COVID.
Yeah, there was
your fleet's done very well, I have to say. I mean, Solo seemed to.
Yeah, Solo did really well, but there was somehow a decrease of 30% last year compared to the year before, which was the best year ever for charter. But still, and this year we can see that people are still waiting to know what will be the travel restrictions this summer before they book their charter.
Yeah, sure.
So it's slower, and we can feel that it's more complicated to get bookings, but also to manage all the changes of plans which happen due to COVID.
Yeah. We're starting to get some good questions now. I'll just read out a few of the comments as well because there's some nice comments here. Florian says, "Greetings, Florian from Benimar." Just to mention another
I know Florian. He's inquiring
yeah, I know
a
Florian.
lot.
Yes. Patrick Abbas, who's another loyal follower, he says, are you now going to harass all of your colleagues to be in the videos with you? Yes, Patrick, I am. I'm going to harass. I shall be in the States hopefully as soon as I can, and I'll be harassing them as well. There was good question here by Science Rockify Me. Do clients want to visit the yacht before they book it?
No, most of the time they don't visit the yachts. There are a few clients that come down, for example, to Monaco, and they say to their broker, I would like to see a few boats before I take a decision. But most of the time it's the job of the broker to visit those yachts or to recommend to their clients the yachts that they feel they are good for them. But no, it's impossible to always visit those boats. Sometimes you have one boat in France, another boat in Greece, another boat in the Caribbean. Yeah. It would be complicated for a client to visit different boats before he makes his decision.
Yeah. And it's not even the money and the expense of travelling to those places. For most clients, it's the time, isn't it? They just don't have time to...
Yeah, and they rely on the broker's experience, and the brokers can... Normally they have to visit as many yachts as possible, and they can really recommend the right yacht for their clients.
This is an interesting comment. It's not really a question, but it's an interesting comment for us to respond to, because Fludu1 says, I really appreciate the insight into the mentality of people spending small fortunes to charter super yachts. Now, this is something that's always interested me, because most very wealthy people have a heightened appreciation of the value of money. They don't do things if it's not going to be profitable for them. So why does that go out of the window where yachts are concerned? Why do you think people will put down 300, 400, 500,000 euros for a week's holiday?
Because it's a unique experience and really not something you can even get in a villa by the sea, or because every day is different. You move from one anchorage to another. You are most likely, or most of the time, you are dependent on the elements, which is a good thing, because you are with the sea, with the sun, and you can travel. You can ask many things to the crew. They are really professionals, good chefs. The stewards, stewardesses do a fantastic job on board, and it feels like you are in a hotel, but it's your hotel. I mean, for 1 week, it's your place. It's not like you own the place, but you've rented it, and they are at your service. So it feels like a very, very particular, very unique experience. And once you've tasted this, you don't want to go back to a hotel or even to a villa, because it's very special.
Yeah, I remember talking to a family of clients who basically was a family where the grandfather had built a business from nothing to having 68,000 employees. I mean, he was a multi-billionaire. And they, as you can imagine, they had anything that they wanted. They had homes all over the world, wherever they wanted to have a home. They have a beautiful home. And the principal, the grandfather who made the money, as you can imagine, had worked so hard and he could never switch off. And the family said the only time he ever relaxes is when he's on the yacht. They said the first week is still, they have the second week, and then by the third week, he's totally relaxed. And money can't buy that.
I think normally after 3 days, you feel really great.
Yes, we took him a little bit longer, I think. But then I kind of got it that's that for your own mental health, you need to be able to completely detach yourself and completely relax. And for you or I, that might mean a weekend in the mountains. But for somebody who's in that high pressure, 68,000 employees, or doing deals with tens or hundreds of millions, and the stress and the pressure, you do need something on an elevated level to be able to totally relax and recharge your batteries. And I think yachts are the only thing that can do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to the next question. H. Jartvart, can't possibly have, it looks a lot like Harvard. And the question actually is, do you need to have a degree to be a charter manager?
No, there is no diploma, or you need to be good with relationships, because it's important to build very good relationships with the owner, with the captain, with the brokers, with the owner's rep, with the lawyers, with everyone you deal with, because you are in between all these people, and you want to make it work for everyone. You're a deal maker, so it's very important to be able to deal with those different people. You need to have some sense of good marketing, because you're promoting the boat, and you need to write the marketing strategy, or to work on the marketing strategy, and to find out what will make this yacht stand out on the market and how you want to promote it. So that's very important. And then of course you need the best is to be able to speak a few languages, because most of the clients come from everywhere. And for example, me, I have one French, one Russian, one Middle Eastern client, one American, one Mexican. And then there are 2 more Europeans. But I mean, so it's better if you can talk to these people in their own languages. But most of the time we speak in English. But I speak also, for example, Spanish and a bit of Italian, and that helps to understand them and to really communicate well with them. And then I think it's personal experience of either the sea, the destinations, the yachts, and if possible to have an experience on board. That I think a good plus for a manager to really understand how it works on board.
I remember talking to one of our charter brokers about a client I had who wanted to charter a yacht in the Greek islands, and immediately the charter broker said, those islands are very windy at that time of the year, they won't enjoy it, they won't be able to go out to sea. And immediately I recognised the importance of experience, because I didn't know that. And that's the difference of somebody having a really lovely charter or a complete waste of money and time.
No, that's the Mel tell me in July and August. It blows very, very strongly. And if you don't have the right boat, then you cannot do anything. You stay in port.
There's a question here, it's nothing to do with charter, but we'll discuss it anyway, because it's an interesting one. Paul Burrows says, I'm thinking of buying an Explorer yacht that was built in the 1960s, but refitted in late 2000. What are the pros and cons of buying old rather than new? What's your thoughts on that, old against new?
As you know, I'm a classic lover, and I love all these classic yachts, and I've managed a few ones, from 26-meter fed ship Sultana to the Cristinao up to 100 meters. And they are great yachts to own, because they are really unique, and they are pieces of our maritime history, and it's good if you can restore one of them and enjoy it, and put it on the charter market, even better. But yeah, it's so different, because the atmosphere on board these boats are unique, and it's different from any other modern yacht, which will probably give you more comfort and more amenities towards I don't know, it could be the internet connection might be better, but the charm of those old ladies are, for me, that there is nothing better than this.
That's so interesting, because your answer took it from kind of a romantic perspective of owning a piece of history, and I was going to answer totally differently on the financial aspect of it, which is that it's really difficult to say, because you can buy an old yacht for a very good price, very, very good price, and you own a lot of yachts for a good price, but then when you start to refit it, it can suddenly become a money pit that you just never get to the bottom of, because as you lift up one thing to fix one thing, you find another problem somewhere else. So it's from a financial perspective, I think it's quite hard to say which is the best thing to do. But certainly there's been both disaster stories and great success stories of people buying old yachts and refitting them and using them.
Yeah, no, probably it takes more time and money to bring an old yacht to a certain level standard to be able to charter it and put it on the market. But also the investment is less than a new boat.
Yeah.
But a new boat, you will pay a lot, but it might lose its value more quickly than an old one that you have restored to its glory and is well managed. But it takes a lot of care. A new boat, generally, of course, you have some work, some maintenance, general maintenance to do, but it needs less work.
Yeah. Let's move on, because there's quite a few questions coming in. Judas Tamad says, "Hi, Sir Nicholas."
Hi.
Boy G, do you think there's still space in the yacht industry, in the charter part of the yacht industry, for new entrants? So somebody wants to become a charter broker. Is it a closed club now? Nobody else is allowed in?
No, we can see not many, but a few new brokers coming every year, and also charter managers. I think there are many more charter brokers than charter managers. I think we are about 100 charter managers around the world, like I would say professional charter managers that only do charter management, because and there are about 1,000 brokers, professional charter brokers. Every company is trying to find some new brokers every year, because it's important to renew, and some people decide after a few years that they want to do something else. So, I think there is space for people who love the boats, what I love about charter is the fact that we are selling the dream, and we are talking about the destinations, we are talking about the service on board, so the crew. It's very human. And I always feel like I'm traveling, even if I'm not traveling, I work from the office, but because we're talking about those exotic destinations, and for me it's very exciting to work in the charter business because of the crew, the destinations, and the yachts.
And the industry's getting bigger and bigger. They're building more and more yachts all the time. More and more people are buying yachts, which means that a percentage of those will put the yacht up for charter. So in answer to your question, Boy G, if you're asking that question because you want to get into the charter business, go for it, because there's definitely space for good people, good hardworking people.
Yeah.
Mystical Monkey Magic. That's the name of another viewer. And he/she says, I think it's probably a he actually, Mystical Monkey Magic. Sounds like a guy. Do you have to use a broker, or can someone come directly to you for charter? So let me put this to you. If I were to become a Bitcoin billionaire tomorrow, knowing what I know, and I go to the owner of Da Vinci and I say, let's do a deal, you and me, let's cut out that Nicolas Fry, what would happen?
I would like to answer his question and then I answer yours.
Yes.
But normally I'm not able to book a yacht directly with a client. It should go through a broker.
Right.
Why is that? Because I represent the owner's interest and the client needs someone to represent his interest. Yeah. And so generally we are 4 parties to the contract. One is the owner, one is the charter manager, and then one is the client and one is the broker. So I can't book a charter directly myself. I need to be doing the deal with a broker. Yeah. And on your question was? Sorry.
So if I went direct to the yacht owner and said, come on, let's do a deal, you don't need a broker.
We have an agreement with the owner, what we call a central agency, and he's not able to book his yacht himself. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, he's the owner of the boat. But if he goes to make a deal with the client directly, it breaks our contract. Yeah. And it goes against what we agreed on. Yeah. So normally they don't do it.
And actually, I think my perspective on that is where I see why that may be attractive to the owner of the yacht. I don't see the attraction to the guy paying for the charter, because it's such a high risk thing to do. It's such a high risk. We, for example, we hold the funds in escrow, so you know that your money is safe. You know that you're going to get what you've paid for.
We never pay the owner before the charter starts, and we pay only half of the funds on the first day of the charter, and then the rest of the funds are paid after the charter, when everything has been done properly and we are sure that both the client and the captain said, yeah, everything went well, the boat is in great condition, they didn't destroy it, and the client says, I enjoyed my holiday, and you can pay the funds. So
and the contract is so well thought out that why would you not want to benefit from that contract, benefit from a party that holds the funds, protects your interests? But it's a very good question. It's a question that I think many may have asked. I thought I saw another. Yes, I did. David, very kind of you. David Dillon, very kind of you to give a super chat. As I said earlier, not necessary, but always appreciated. David Dillon asks, who fulfills the special requests of the charter guest? For instance, would the crew get the guest a companion? It's a fair question, you know. Would the crew get the guest a companion, or does that fall to the broker? Sorry, I've heard too many of these stories. No, it's a very good question. So a yacht owner wants some little indiscreet favour.
Generally, we say that what happens on board stays on board. Yeah. So generally, those special requests are made by the client directly to the crew.
Yes.
It happens that the broker can be involved in certain ways, especially if the boat stays at a special place which is close by, and the broker can do things around it, but also he can do it by email or by phone. But most of the time, I would say that very special requests are done by the crew, which can do it or not, depending on where they are and if it's legal.
Who they are, and actually, it's a very fair topic to discuss, David, because stuff does go on yachts. I know that I've been in situations where yacht owners have said to me, so where's the action going on, kind of thing. But in my opinion, one of the dangers for a broker to get involved with that sort of thing is that you always have to have a client-broker relationship. And if you start to get into that side of the yachting industry, all of a sudden you think like you're the owner's best friend, and you can get up to all sorts of shenanigans at his parties, and you break the relationship. And you know, certainly Nicholas and certainly myself, we're doing this for a business. We're doing this because we have, you know, mortgages to pay. We need to make a living, and this is our business. And we just
I
can't
do it
afford-
because I like it.
I know you do. I do to a point, but it's a business as
No,
well.
of course.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can never cross that threshold where you're getting too personal with an owner, and all of a sudden you think you can do things that really the owner wants to do for himself.
And there are many charter guests who come on board and feel like they own the boat, but it's not real.
Yeah.
And it's not true. And generally, the guy who is responsible for what's happening on board is the captain. And it can be a guy or it can be a woman, because we have many good female captains now. And they are responsible for what's happening on board. And they can accept or reject a special request from the client.
Yeah, and actually, going even deeper still into that, the captain is called the master of the vessel, and it's a very, very weighty responsibility. If you've seen Super Yacht Captain's recent video of a crash on some yachts in which sadly a crew member died, it's the master of the vessel who was held responsible for that death. I mean, it's a really massive responsibility to be a yacht captain. And you know, if you think about stories you may have heard of drugs being used on yachts, frankly, it's unlikely to be true, because these days, if cocaine, for example, is found on a yacht, the consequences are
But
huge.
they can lose their license, and that's when the crew, and especially the captain, is so important, because there are some can-do captains.
Yes.
They will do their maximum to fulfill the dreams and to make the best experience on board. And there are some captains, very few, that say, sorry, but this is not possible to do. We will follow the program as planned, and we can do this, we can do that.
Yeah.
But in the charter business, if you have a can-do captain, then the experience can be really fantastic. And generally, it's not only the captain, it's also the chief steward, the chef, and the deckhands, and everyone on board.
Yeah, but with certain boundaries drawn on
Of
what's
course.
legal and
Yes.
can be done. Lusso Yachting, thank you so much for the super chat. And by the way, I watched some of your videos the other day. They're absolutely fantastic. So after this live chat, check out Lusso Yachting's YouTube channel, because it's really excellent. What kind of issues would cause a broker to reject a yacht seeking to join a broker's charter fleet? Are you ever invited to represent a yacht and you say, I'm sorry, but that we're not going to do?
Yes, yeah, it happens, especially when you work for large brokerage companies like Northrop and Johnson. We have certain criteria. For example, the size is a criteria. We normally don't accept yachts under 25 meter and sometimes even 30 meter. But for example, Sultana was a 26 meter fed ship, so we accepted it.
Yeah.
And then it needs to be fully crewed, well maintained, and have some kind of charter potential. If we know that the owner will always use the boat and he just wants a couple of weeks of charter to make a commercial activity, let's say, we are not really interested, because what we want is to do some good bookings so we can bring some commissions and revenue to the company. So yeah, we have a few criteria to fill before we accept a yacht in the fleet.
Yeah. And what we said makes a good yacht can also make the bad yachts. I mean, you could have a wonderful yacht, but if the crew are unfriendly, difficult, and it happens, then...
But this can be changed, or can be... We can help the captain or the owner to find the right crew, because we have crew services. And sometimes also we listen to the people visiting the boat, the brokers. We organize fan trips, for example, where they can really see the boat and see the crew in action. And then we have some feedback from them. And sometimes they say, The boat is great, but the chef was not so great.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you upgrade the level of the food experience on board and everything. So sometimes we help the owner and the captain bring the experience to a higher level.
Yeah, and actually I've noticed amongst charter brokers that there's a very direct communication, because you're not doing anybody any favours by saying yes, the crew were great, if actually some of them are not great. And so I've noticed the charter brokers are pretty quick to say, actually, you know, that stewardess,
Yeah.
you know, is not doing her job, she's so unfriendly, because we want to have a standard of excellence that you'll never achieve if you just keep saying that everything's fine.
Exactly. And to have a great team on board takes time. It starts from the captain, because generally most of the crew is chosen by the captain. If you have a good captain at the helm, generally you will have a good crew with him or her. But it takes time even for a captain to make a great team around him and to find the right people to work on the boat. But when you have this, it's fantastic. And generally on charter boats, everybody knows that the crew is essential, and they take a lot of time, and sometimes they are ready to pay a little bit more to get the good crew on board, to get the right people to work for them on the boat.
I was distracted then for a moment because we had a Joe 3 Beans says watching from the hospital in Omaha, Nebraska, which I think is where Warren Buffett's from, isn't it? Anyway, Joe, I hope you feel better soon. I was distracted because I saw your second message. David Dillon says, if you're a patient, I hope you feel better soon. And Joe says it's a gunshot wound to the neck. So terribly sorry to hear that. And yeah, I mean, take your time, get better, and stay safe. Stay safe. So yeah, very sorry to hear that. Ram Prasad Govindarajan, I think I probably even said that right, says the Med, Caribbean and Thailand seem to be some top destinations. Have you ever had charter requests to destinations in the Indian Ocean, Lakshadweep, Maldives, Seychelles, etc.?
That's a great question, and I'm convinced that the charter activity is changing, and most people now are looking for new destinations to travel and to discover new places, and especially with all these explorer yachts, like the one our friend we want to restore, they can go and they can travel further afield, and they can offer very different experiences to the usual Saint-Tropez, Porto Cervo, Ibiza, which are the busiest port in the Med, and most of the charter activity is still done in the Med, in the West Med more precisely, but also in the East Med, in Greece, Turkey and Croatia. But there are many more and many new destinations coming on. For example, Galapagos is one of them. Yeah. Antarctica, there are more and more icebreaker boats that are based over there during our winter to explore those fantastic places. French Polynesia is coming. I mean, it's always been there, but there are more and more yachts going there every year. Indonesia, Raja Ampat, it's a fantastic diving destination. Southeast Asia is coming. I mean, it's coming. It's been there for a few years, but Thailand is very, very successful. Myanmar, I went on a boat in Myanmar, was 5 years ago on Callisto, and we discovered this place. There were no one, and now I can see that year after year there are more yachts going there, because it's fantastic, and it's great because more and more of these young charter guests want to discover the world with the yachts, and they also use sometimes some travel agencies to help them find some very unique experiences. So
I'm going to interrupt you because David Dillon has very kindly sent another super chat. Thank you, David. And he's just asking if you could just briefly go over your backstory again as to how you, well, he says specifically education, experience, etc.
Yeah. So, well, I did a business school, and I was quite. I traveled the world for 1 year. I went around the world because I wanted to get some experiences, but traveling. And then I started to work as a marketing manager for Xerox, you know. Then I moved to the real estate, and then I created my own company for organizing events. It was a corporate events organization, and called The Alchemist. It's no longer in existence, but I love this book. And then I became a charter broker, and then I started my
So
my
first
yachting
with your
career.
father's yachts.
So I had various, let's say, professional experiences before I started with yachting.
Yeah.
But when I started with yachting, I didn't want to go anywhere else.
No.
It became a real passion and really enjoying way of working.
Great. If you need to know anything else, David, just ask. Hopefully that covered it. Craig Forrest says, maybe this has already been asked, but it has been asked, Craig, but we'll answer it again. But with COVID, how are people entering any countries for sightseeing that they charter to? So how's COVID affecting people's travel?
But there are many travel restrictions, travel bans. So for example, last summer it was very difficult for Americans. Some of our best clients come from the States every summer in the Med, but they couldn't really travel to Europe last year. So a few could travel with their private jets, but all the commercial flights were cancelled. And even with private jet, they had to enter Europe through Croatia or through Turkey or through Malta. So it was quite complicated, and most of the clients didn't come at all. And not only the Americans, but also the Russians and also the Middle Eastern. So it was really problematic. And hopefully this year the barriers will not be, the frontiers will not be closed, and probably people will be able to travel more easily.
Yeah, I don't know, Craig, how much you need to travel with your business for other reasons, but travel is possible, but more difficult now, isn't it? And you need to keep your eye on the ball of what governments are requesting.
Yeah, and then when you can travel, you should know also that on all these yachts, we have some COVID-19 protocols which need to be respected, because they don't want all the crew to be infected by a guest that bring COVID on board, because then the season stops, and we have to pay back the charter funds to the other clients and everything. So they have created some very interesting and very serious charter protocols, COVID-19 protocols, and you need to be tested and to show a negative test 3 days before you go on board. You need to, of course, sometimes wear a mask in the social areas, and not go back on shore and back on board. You need to make some efforts and some adapt. So you need to adapt to the situation.
Now the next question comes from somebody who's got the name of a yacht owner. What I mean by that is a name that sounds like a yacht owner. Mikhail Starchenko. I can just imagine us saying that's Mikhail Starchenko's yacht over there. So Mikhail Starchenko says, should I, or I guess would you, charter an older yacht but refitted, or a newer yacht?
I really believe that you will get a better value on an old yacht that has been well restored. There is always a premium to be paid for a new boat, and because the demand for new boats is higher. But if you're ready to find something very special, very unique, I would go for an older boat which has been well refitted with a great crew, and it will offer generally more value for money.
Yeah. Were you the charter manager on Illusion, the Fed ship?
No.
No, you weren't. I had that for sale, and we had it for charter as well, I'm pretty sure.
Karin, no?
Was it Kareem who had that? And that was an older Fed ship, 55 meters. We sold it, but we had it in the charter fleet as well for a while. And I remember looking at the price and what you got for that money, and thinking this is a pretty good boat to charter, actually.
Yes.
So I hope that answers your question, Mikhail. I keep trying to read the questions before I ask them out, just in case somebody puts something in there that I don't want to read out. But so far, everybody's very clean and well behaved. Space Miedi, or Miedel, yeah, very good question. Can you tell us? I mean, it's in the public domain. So, what are the costs of solo as far as chartering it for a week goes?
So we talk about weekly rates, and generally for the summer in the Med season, solo is priced at 650,000 euros so per week. In low season, which is generally, let's say, May, June, and September, and the high season, which is in the Med, July and August, she's priced at 750,000 euros per week. And of course, it includes the yacht with the crew on board. You don't have to pay extra for the crew. But generally, at the end of your charter, you give what we call a gratuity if you're happy with the service to the crew. And that can go to, generally, it's about 10% of this price that is given to the crew as a thank you and a well done gratuity. But also, which is not included in this price, is what we call the APA. So the APA is what will help, what will allow you to buy, or the crew to buy, the food, the drinks, the fuel for the boat, to pay for the ports, and all the expenses that you will have once you're on board. So you have to pay an extra 25 to 30% of the charter fee, and that's what we call APA. And in Europe and in the Med, you have to pay the VAT. And that's also not included in this price. And why it's not included? Because the VAT varies from, let's say, 30% in Croatia to 22% in Italy.
Yeah.
And so we cannot include the VAT because there's a discrepancy of sometimes 10 to 15% of VAT.
Yeah, and I guess it's like if you come from America to Italy and you take a hotel room, you're going to pay VAT on the hotel room. And the Italian,
included.
Yes, it's included in the price.
In the price, yeah.
But it is in the price.
Yeah.
And so the Italian authorities, I guess, are saying, well, if you pick up the yacht in Italy, it's just like it's a hotel room.
Of course.
You got to pay VAT.
It's just not included in our charter rates.
Right.
It's plus.
Yeah, because it's not always included depending on where the yacht is.
Yeah,
in
because
the world.
then if you charter in the Caribbean, there are no VAT. So the price is the price and you don't have to pay the VAT. But you will always have to pay what we call the APA, Advanced Provisioning Allowance. It's some extra money that it's your money, but you give to the captain. You don't give, you send by bank transfer, but then he gets this money to buy all the food, drinks and everything for your holiday.
So in answer to your question, that was the price for a week. You do get the captain and crew included in that price, but other things, fuel, food, all comes out of the advanced provisioning allowance and tips as well. Tease says, I've just lost you. Here, hi from France. Finally, I'm available during the live stream. Well, hi from Monaco, right back to you. Chase Boats Guy. Are charter managers millionaires?
I don't know any. I think we do it for a passion. But no, you make more money selling boats than chartering them, but some good charter brokers can make some good commissions. We generally make some commission on, some money on all the commissions we bring to the company, but it's not huge amounts.
Marcy Melingui, is it sufficient for clients to see, this is a good question. Is it sufficient for clients to see pictures before they charter a yacht? Or do they want to have much more information? Do they want to talk to some crew members so that they feel more secure about their choice?
And I would say be careful with the images, because generally you can show some great images of the boat that was 10 years ago. But what is the boat looking now? That's what you want to know before you book this charter. And how is the crew on board? And you need to know that someone has been on board and checked that everything is great. So for the yacht in our fleet, we go probably 2 or 3 times a year to see the boat and meet the crew and make sure that they are well maintained. But there are other boats that are managed differently, and you don't know what you're booking. So it's very important that you just don't look at the images, but you get also some information from the broker, and probably you can get some recommendation from someone who visited the boat recently.
Yeah, I think if a direct client wanted to talk to the captain of one of the yachts on your fleet, would you rather they went through a broker, or would you be happy for them to talk direct to the captain?
Alors, generally, we don't put the client, the final client, in contact with the captain until there is a charter agreement signed and a booking, because they would answer so many questions to so many clients, but sometimes they just want an itinerary, or but it's so generally we put them in contact, but when the booking is done.
Yeah.
Before that, they need to speak with their brokers, and their brokers will ask me many questions about the crew. I can put them in contact, the broker with the captain, and they can chat. But generally, we don't put the final client with in contact with the captain.
Which is why it's good to have a charter broker, a reputable charter broker that you can trust and who's got a good reputation. I think rather than talk to the crew, it'd be good to get references from your charter broker of other people that have chartered with them, who can say, they always put me in the hands of a good crew and into a good yacht. But you're unlikely to be able to talk directly to the crew until it's all signed and done. But thanks for that question. Ram Prasad. Sorry, the screen slides down every so often. I'll just pull it back up. Ram Prasad Govindarajan says, on the topic of these newer Go Anywhere Explorer yachts, they often say that they're collecting scientific data. How's that done? Is it done behind the scenes from the guests?
Yes, there are a few charter vessels that are involved in some scientific research, and that's getting more and more popular, to do something useful during your charter, and to be part of a conservation program, or to go and visit an island where you can help the fishermen do whatever they need to do, or to clean a beach or whatever. So there are many, not many, but there are few programs like that, and it's becoming more and more popular, and we're trying to push this, because the idea is that we need to protect our oceans, and if our oceans are not clean, people will not want to charter vessels to enjoy them, and will not enjoy the same. If you go swimming and there is plastic, it's not really nice. So it's very important, and we're pushing towards this kind of scientific research programs.
Right, it's quite a few more questions, and I want to wrap it up so we keep it within the 1 hour. So we'll go quickly through the questions. Science Rockify Me wants to delve a little bit deeper into the question of how much it costs. And his question really is, if a yacht asks for $100,000 a week, by the time you add on all the extras, what's it likely to really cost you?
You can add another 50%.
Really?
Yeah, because generally it's 25 to 30% for the APA, plus 10 to 20% for the VAT, and plus 10% for the tip.
Yeah, so you're looking at 150% of what the price is. Good to know that, isn't it, before you book. Kelvin Ang's question about COVID, we've answered. So if I can, only because of time, Kelvin, if I can get you to watch back on the recording of this that will be online, you'll get plenty of information about the effect that COVID has had. David Dillon, this is an interesting question. How do you determine what the charter rate should be for a yacht?
Well, generally we look at what's on the market already, if there is competition, but most likely there will be, and we can compare. Even if it's not, because there are many custom yachts, so it's not exactly the same design and the same size and everything, but in terms of size, it's comparable. In terms of number of crew, of number of cabins, and it's also depending on the destination, because you don't price a boat the same if it's in the Med or if it goes somewhere very very remote and where there are not so many people looking for a boat. So we compare with what's on the market, and generally we put a bit of our experience into the mix, to set up the price. For example, me, I like to have a quite different price between the high season and the low season, because the high season generally is not the most difficult part to book, where the low season is quite complicated. So if we have a more attractive price on the low season, we might get more bookings. And also, I always like to keep some kind of a margin of negotiation around 5 to 10%, because most of the clients, they always ask for a discount.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to ask two more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. But Craig Forrest asked whether people join a yacht on a charter to cross the Atlantic. Does that ever happen?
It happens. There are very few people doing that, but I think it's an amazing experience having crossed the Atlantic. It's one of my best experience of sailing, and but you won't expect the same level of service, because you cannot stop, you cannot go swim. I mean, you can go swimming, but it's different. It's very different, and so it's another experience.
Yeah.
And but it's very interesting.
I think they call them transfer charters, don't they?
Yeah. So there are some yachts going to the Caribbean every winter and coming back to the Med, and generally they do it empty or without guests. Just the crew is transiting the boat, but a few of them are happy to take some charter guests on board.
Final question, and I really want to ask you this because somebody asked a similar question of Celine last week, and I'm just interested in what you think. Spider, I don't know if you've ever watched the reality show Below Deck. Besides the drama that I guess it's part of a TV show, but does it happen that there's unpleasant guests, rude? Let me rephrase the question. What's your take as a charter manager on Below Deck?
I will say, like Celine, I've never seen this TV show, but I've been in contact with this TV show because they were looking for yachts around the size of the yachts I managed, and but I never wanted to convince an owner to take part, because most of the time I wouldn't say they don't respect the boat, but it's not the image we want to give of this boat. And I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's like TV reality show, and what we promote is luxury charter and some very unique, refined experiences. And what Below Deck is what happens between the crew, and so it's very different. So with charter guests and the way we used to use this boat.
Yeah, it's so funny that, including myself, so many people answer that question by saying, "I've never seen the show, but." And I think the reason that we've never seen the show is because we've seen enough of it, the little trailers, to kind of go, I don't even want to watch that. Because I agree with you. Whilst the captains, Captain Lee and Sandy, I think, are the two captains, I'm sure are very good and very competent captains. My view of the show is, as you exactly said, it's not the image of yachting that we really want to put forward. We want people to go on yachts to relax, to have a nice time, and where they're the stars, where it's all about the charter guest, not some sort of havoc and arguing and drama amongst the crew, because a good crew would never let you know of any drama that's going on.
No, but also we know enough drama with the crew for all the yachts we manage, and it's not a reality show. It's real. I mean, it's not easy to live on board, to work on board, to spend your life on board, and we know that there are many crew problems on these boats, but this is not exactly what we're promoting.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nicolas Fry. I'm
You're
sure
welcome.
we'll have many other opportunities.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on your YouTube channel.
And you may recognise Nicolas from the Chios video. If you've not seen that, he plays a star role in the Chios video. So take a look at that afterwards. Remember as well to check out Luso Yachting's channel, because it really is very good. And we'll be doing many more of these. I'm actually in England next week to get my vaccination done. So I doubt I'll be able to do a live stream next week, but the following week I want to get right back up doing some more live streams. If there's any particular topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.